again, you're being an activist. I am
It's
not.
not, that's not appropriate, sir. If
Now,
you,
who are you? What's your name?
That's not an appropriate question for you to ask. I do.
You're going to ask how many questions? You get 3?
what a stupid son of a bitch.
Welcome to another episode of Friendly Fire, a show dedicated to all things libertarian. That includes candidates for public or party office, bill reviews from a libertarian perspective, and even matters regarding the party itself. Unlike other shows, Friendly Fire exists to be critical and tough, but fair and honest. Today, Joshua Krakow joins me to discuss his run for Florida State House District 77. Please welcome Joshua to Friendly Fire. Joshua,
Thank you.
how are you?
Not too bad.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me so terribly early. It's my personal running joke, like, why am I doing this so early in the morning? It seems a bit crazy, but that's okay. We're here and we're going to have a little bit of fun talking about your run for State House District 77. So let me ask you first and foremost, let's kind of, start from the beginning. What motivated you to run for office?
Just a disappointment in our government. I became a dad in 2018 and went
Congrats.
through the family court system. And honestly, it was probably the most traumatic thing that I have gone through in my life. And it definitely didn't feel like it was justice or anything that I remnants of doing
Mhm.
what was best in my daughter's interest. And felt like there was definitely a need for a change, and never seen or found any politicians other than Larry Elder that's talked about getting families and focusing on the families to build the infrastructure of our society.
Mhm. So, so you're running. So what is the core of your campaign? What are you running on specifically and telling voters when you're out and about?
So I'm running for to try and reform the family court system.
Mhm.
I Based on statistics, 40% of our filings in court is family court related,
Mhm.
and 70% of them actually get re-adjudicated, meaning that they clearly did not come to a good conclusion. And with that being said, I think that we can get rid of a lot of those issues and a lot of the bloat of the family court system just by having the presumption that the child has the right to both parents once we determine who both parents are.
Mhm.
I don't think that it's necessary to wait until the courts decide that one parent can be in the other child's life, or parental alienation versus kidnapping. They're synonymous, and the child deserves both parents.
Okay. And what kind of things are you thinking to advance should you be elected? Like specifically, like do you have any bills in mind that you would advance, or maybe any bills that you would say, hey, you know what? I'm hoping to be able to get in and vote on this one if it's, still lingering in the future.
Yeah, so we just recently had the Good Fathers Act,
Mhm.
which gives dads the right that both parents or agree that the child is theirs.
Mhm.
But I feel like there was a little short, and I was glad to see it. But the problem is that a lot of these things are left to the courts to actually enforce, and it's up to the judge whether or not they actually want to enforce it. What I want to actually propose is to give the child the rights to both parents the moment that DNA is determined. So if a father were uh, to go and give his DNA test, it shouldn't have to be, oh well, the mom doesn't want me involved, and now I have to go through a lengthy process. And in a lot of cases, there's parents weaponize the child, and the
Mhm.
weaponization is harmful to the child and the other parent. And again, it just adds so much bloat to the family court system, when if we just had the presumption of 50-50 custody and both parents deserve rights, it I think that we can take a lot of the rights away from government over our children and give them to both parents, and we can work on resolving things more equally.
Okay. All right. And then so what's your reception been like so far? Like what kind of things have you done so far to get this campaign running?
So I actually am a part of or I'm setting up a nonprofit with another gentleman for a dad's peer-to-peer program, just
Mhm.
basically trying to uh, be able to have someone that you can relate to. Like I said, it's a really traumatic situation going through the family court system, and if you haven't been through it, I mean, I'm an amputee, and losing my leg is hard, but the family court system has never put me in more depression and more despair than fighting for my daughter. So,
Gotcha. And what's your reception been like so far?
it's been actually pretty good. You kind of get some people that have a concern of you being like a men's rights kind of activist.
Mhm.
Um, and once you actually sit down with them and explain some of the uh, simple things of like when the laws came in for child support and Title 4G, that all came into effect because they were saying that men were leaving the house. But the
Mhm.
statistics have actually shown that 70% of divorces are initiated by women, and 90% of them are initiated by women if they are college educated. And then a lot of the times you will see that a lot of the dads are finding great women after their first failed relationship and have a child already. And a
Mhm.
lot of the women are like, these are great dads, and we don't have the money. We're having to pay child support, and we don't have the money for our own kids, but we're spending more on this uh, financial obligation that the court has. And it's actually quite surprising how many, well, it's not surprising, but there are a lot of good dads out there. And unfortunately, the courts don't understand that uh, they unfortunately have the indoctrination, in my opinion,
Mhm.
of that dads don't love their kids as much as moms do. And I think that society actually sees that that's not necessarily true.
Gotcha. And so for anybody that may be watching and they maybe get the feeling of, hey, maybe this is just some variant of a men's right activist. Where are some areas where you would say I differ strongly, that kind of distinguish you from maybe the typical men's right activist?
Well, one thing that I'm currently doing, which I really hope gets some steam right now, I'm working with the National Parenting Organization.
Hmm.
Uh, in Florida, we actually have what's called a family law advice, or we're supposed to have what's called a family law advisory group in each district of Florida, in every court. Back in 2001, the Supreme Court of Florida ordered that every district have this, so that way the courts could understand the ramifications of their decision making in their community, because there is no Supreme Court of Florida family division. It really is left to the county level judges to decide and understand what how their impacts are going. But unfortunately, a lot of districts still have not been compliant since 2001. So I'm trying to run my campaign on actually being an information campaign and letting people know, hey, I need your help to get these things done. These are issues that are in our local politics, and just trying to be an open and honest individual so that way people can trust me and understand that I'm really trying to make this world a better place for our kids.
Okay. So let's talk about your opponent, or not too much about your opponent, but your opponent looks like you've only got one at this particular moment, and that's going to be, it looks like Tiffany Esposito. Where did the name go here? I lost it. Uh, there it goes. Esposito. Esposito. Yeah, yeah, I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
So she's the incumbent. Um, what kind of things do you think will become a challenge when you're running, against her? And like, what kind of things is she running on, and what is your response?
She's very much of a business individual.
Hmm.
She goes to realtors, she goes to just a lot of the big businesses in this area. She works with small business owners in the area as well. And it's really of a commerce based campaign. And I'm running more of a community based campaign. I'm going to the churches. I've actually been to the local GOP office. Um, I've gone to the NAACP. I really want to get with the community leaders And it's not so much about getting the finances. I mean, you can look up US transparency and there's a lot of money flowing here, and you can see where the influence is, whether you think that your tax paying dollars are actually the influence. The job pays $26,000 a year with stipends and stuff like that. But $26,000 a year, and we're seeing $390,000 in last campaign finances. There's this, yeah, there's a lot of dirty money in this system, and it doesn't fix the society. One thing that very much differs about us is she's more about trying to get more building going on in the city, trying to
Hmm.
get more elevation. I'm I'm still a conservative, or I want to conserve our society. I'm a lifetime resident. I've never left this area, and I've seen a lot of change. We went from 220,000 people to 770,000 people so far in my lifetime in my county. Um, and it's just crazy. It's I get lost in my own city because it's so much growth and so much expansion and change. And I'm more on the side of let's try and build a community. Let's get these people wanting to feel proud about where they live, get to know your neighbors. So that way we want to invest in our neighborhood rather than getting into like this rental society where everybody, hey, you know what? I don't know my neighbor. I don't know. Okay, well, lease is up. They're raising rates. I'm going to leave because I can find something cheaper. I want it to be not necessarily cheaper, but knowing that I am in this community. I know that I can trust my neighbor next door. I know that I can talk to the person across the street. And I think that really, as a politician, we should be trying to mend those bridges from neighbor to neighbor and building more community rather than building government.
Got it. So when you're talking about building community, as you're elected as a legislature, what kind of things are in your power to help build the community? Like what kind of, is there legislation that you can pass that you've got your eyeball on? Is it just a bully pulpit? Like what kind of things can you do as an elected official to make that happen?
So, like I said, I'd like to get the law passed so that way fathers get the right the moment that DNA is determined.
Hmm.
The the situation, like I said, the Good Fathers Act kind of came short. There's a gentleman that I was aware of back in 2021. His fiance went into the hospital to give birth to their second child, and they were engaged for 3 years. And she had some complications due to COVID, and she ended up going into a coma. Because of COVID, the hospital made the dad decide, do you want to see your child or do you want to see the mom? And she ended up passing away. It took this gentleman 4 months to take his daughter home, two DNA tests, two attorneys, and that's where that Good Father Act wouldn't even matter, even if the judge were involved, or if she had, yeah, because she was not able to say this is the father. I want him involved in my child's life. He was told that his child might be going into foster care, uh, just because they couldn't decide next of kin or father, and it it shouldn't be. It should be automatic that dad could have taken his daughter home after she was ready to go, but that's that problem. Um, and then, like I said, the flag aspect, I do think that it would be you very. Uh, my plan is to actually go around the state and help enforce these laws with like the flag, and bring attention to things like flag. I think that that's going to be a huge benefit for our state, and I hope that other states actually follow suit, whether they do have flag or not. I'm not familiar with other states and what their laws are, but I do believe that if we actually implemented what the Supreme Court ruled, it would be a huge change. I would like to get on uh, the Children's Family and Elderly Board,
Hmm.
and actually be able to make more impactful decisions on that. Unfortunately, I see a lot of things about foster care but not actually trying to build the community and build the families. And that's really where I think that we need to get into is trying to get those families, because I think that we need to get families together, work on getting the nuclear family again, and then we will have we can build community, and then we don't need as much government.
Gotcha. And when you say flag, you're referring to the Family Law Advisory Group. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just make sure that we don't use any terms here that we're not
Yep.
explicitly defining for people. So, it sounds like you've got a lot going on with the idea of working with fathers. So, stepping away from that, what other elements are you looking to accomplish? Because I assume, and you more than go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that with the incumbent, Tiffany Esposito, and when you're out talking with people, that there are other issues that are of a concern that are unrelated. So I'm curious what those other issues might be that people might be talking about and what your position is on those.
So I've had a lot of, we have a, like most places, unfortunately, our education system has really been uh, under par,
Hmm.
to say the least. Um, and something else that I would like to get involved in is trying to figure out how we can implement a child's education rights act or something, so
Hmm.
that way the parents can take the resources that the county has already allocated for that individual child and be able to say, hey, you know what? We can take it away from the public schools and we can uh, put it into our private school, or we can take it into our charter schools. I think our charter schools down here are about $1,800 less on the
Okay.
taxpayers than the public schools, and they continuously outperform the public schools. But I also think that it would be good to be able to take those resources and uh, be able to have the parents have the freedom to create a collective and create like pod programs and be able to allow the parents to hire teachers, so that way they could have
Hmm.
five students with $8,000 actually pay a teacher a reasonable wage without the corporate level of the public school system taking the majority of the money off the top. And it's actually been really supportive. I mean, our education system is, I think, 54% of our kids are at or above grade level.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it's pretty close to 50% of our kids are failing. And just parents are fed up with it. The busing systems, nothing but problems. I think that would be better off taking a lot of these commercial lots and actually creating almost a uh, communal pod system where teachers can actually rent like classrooms and teach their kids in those common shared spaces, and just be able to give their children what they need rather than just throwing them in a classroom with one teacher, and they don't really get that education that's catered to them. And
Hmm.
that's really where our kids are going to thrive, is when they a feel like the teacher cares and they actually get the attention of the teacher, and the teacher is able to implement more uh, educational styles that cater to the individual child.
Gotcha. Okay. That sounds good. I was looking up something here and I wanted to bring this. I'm going to bring this on screen here. Give me
Okay.
a second as I grab it because I want to talk about it. Where'd you go here? Share screen. Let's get this going here and there. All right. Are we on the screen? All right. We are on the screen well enough here. So, what this is from Ballotpedia. So this is your district 77, and it's showing the redistricting. And it looks like you were literally on one side of the river, and now it's on the other side of the river. So how do you does this change impact you as a longtime resident? Because I believe you said you've lived there, or I think you said you've always lived there, correct?
Yeah. So that's all a part of Lee County.
Hmm.
It went from Cape Coral to Fort Myers, and funny thing is I lived in Cape Coral and followed it to Fort Myers. I grew up in Fort Myers, but Cape Coral and Fort Myers are synonymous. They're
Right.
like sisters cities. Um, One thing that I do actually really like about the district that I'm in now is it's more of a working class district.
Okay.
Um, so a lot of these issues that I have are very common issues for these individuals.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of these individuals have actually moved out to my district because the gentrification of the area. So it actually has a lot more of the local residents that weren't able to buy into the real estate market, and
Right.
so it's got a lot of individuals that are just local. That's where a lot of our local community has gotten pushed out to. So
And I presume this change really doesn't affect you as far as getting out and going to events, meeting people, and so on and so forth.
no,
Got it.
no. The hardest thing I think for my district is we are a district primarily on residents.
Hmm.
There's not a whole lot of commercial. There's not a whole lot of events going on.
Okay.
We kind of pool into central Fort Myers, and then that's more like the working class individuals. So, or the way working where the yeah where the working class live.
Right. Okay. Um, and then since you're having, so when I was looking and doing a little bit of research on the district, we've got that change, and then it looks like it's primarily been a Republican seat um, in the past. Do you expect to see much from the Democrats as far as a challenger? Because right now it's only you and the incumbent who is a Republican.
We've seen Democrats run.
Hmm.
I don't I don't think that I think that we are better off without political affiliations. But I don't think that it would be a successful campaign in this area for a Democrat to run. I think that it's more likely that we'll see a second Republican to run.
Okay.
Um, but yeah.
And what's your do you, I mean, and maybe you don't I don't want to, ask you to give away all your campaign strategy, but if a second Republican jumps in, what's your plan like to approach that? Because now you'll have two. And it would seem to me that if the Republicans are dominating that area, that it would become even harder to gain votes because now people have two choices for their typical Republican. And we saw that up here in Jacksonville with some of our candidates who were running, and there were multiple people from a particular party in the race initially. It was just harder to grab votes. So, what's your plan to attack that?
So I don't necessarily see a whole lot of potential competition. I
Hmm.
mean, I think that Tiffany is really. I think that when you look at the transparency, U.S. transparency, and see where a lot of the funding goes. A lot of
Hmm.
people just don't see her. She's usually out doing like all the business stuff, and the community doesn't know her. If you're in the business community, then you will know her and you'll probably support her. But the general individual does not know who she is. She doesn't really show up to a lot of events. It's a lot of people just are underwhelmed with her. She's been there for 2 years, and they don't really feel like they got much change. So,
Gotcha. So you think you got a strong chance against the incumbent then, just because of the quietness, I guess, or the feeling of you're not really representing us.
well, locally, like a lot of districts, I'm sure we have uh, a individual strategy company that the Republican Party does not like.
Hmm.
uh, TM Strategies. TM Strategies ends up fielding 22 candidates currently, and I'm talking with the local GOP, and they're really not a fan of any of their candidates. They feel like it's bought and paid for kind of situation. I don't know these individuals, so I can't speak on it, but it's the local GOP doesn't really support their candidates. They don't really feel like they are represented by their candidate. So it it really just comes down to getting my name out there and getting people to understand who I am and what my participation in community, I think, is really where it's going to be outshining.
Gotcha. Speaking of parties, how has the reception been from the Libertarian Party? Do you got? Is there an affiliate out in your area?
Yeah, I'm with Lee County affiliate. And yeah, we've been great. I mean, I love being a libertarian. I think that it's very much of a iron sharpens iron, especially with the
Mhm.
LPF. Uh, and yeah, I I really enjoy the party. They've been very supportive, um, and just trying to work together. I'm a part of the candidates committee
Mhm.
as well, and went to states this year, and just trying to immerse myself in the party. And I personally believe that we shouldn't have parties, but I do find the value in having a party so that way we
Mhm.
can refine our views and be the most effective. But I don't believe that the party should be labeled or be able to be backing kind of situation. So,
Gotcha. Well, they are. So, what
yep.
ways have the local affiliate um, helped out or promoted your campaign? And then, have you heard anything? Your second question is: have you heard anything from the state party? What have they done as well?
So locally, they have earmarked $1,000 to my campaign. Um, so I'm not sure exactly how they're going to be spending it. Um, and then the state just has been a great resource for me. If I have questions, I can just send them a question, and they've helped me try to get all the filings done and whatnot. So, like I said, it's been a lot of support. I think that we're going to be doing. We have the Mises Institute is coming down to Fort Myers,
Hmm.
and we're going to be uh, hosting that. So I think we're going to do some kind of fundraising event at that event coming up. So, and that'll be with a local affiliate.
Okay. Okay. That's good. It's always interesting because when you're talking to candidates, just in general, not necessarily limited to the Libertarian Party here in Florida, but just in general, a lot of people have complained that they're not necessarily getting the support that they would want from their uh, from their either local or maybe even their state party. So it's good to hear that your local party is supporting you, as is the state party. Otherwise, we might have to, stand on some necks and say, "Hey, what's going on here?" So,
Yeah.
um, all right. Well, it sounds like you've got a lot going on. It sounds like your campaign is underway. What are some of the things to look forward to? Like, do you have any events planned? Like, hey, I'm going to be here in the next, week or two or month or something like that. Like what kind of future plans do you have that people can look forward to?
At this point, I don't have any events other than that Mises event that's going to
Mhm.
be in downtown Fort Myers. Um, I'm still uh, in the process of getting all the bank information together and
Mhm.
getting my website up and getting my petition. So my main focus right now is to get my signatures to actually get on the ballot, and then the campaigning and actually getting my name out there will
Mhm.
be more of that, but I have
Where are
to
you with
collect about
signatures?
what
Where are you with signatures?
I literally just went to the printers yesterday and printed up uh the form. So I
Gotcha.
have 3.
Okay, so you're just getting started. No worries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're just getting. How many signatures do you need?
I need, I think, 1,098, but I'm gonna attempt to get 1,300 just to
Mhm.
make sure that we don't have any issues. And again, it's in my opinion, I think it's a great opportunity to get to know the people that I am representing that I
Mhm.
don't know. I mean, I
Right.
do know a lot of people as being a lifetime resident, but yeah.
Sorry, I got a little tongue tied there. So 1,090, I think you said 1,098. You're aiming for 1,300, which is good because some signatures will get rejected and whatnot. So do you like what's the deadline and how difficult do you think it's going to be to get that those 1300 or yeah, the 1300 signatures?
It's the deadline is June, so I don't really see it being an issue.
Hmm.
I think that the only issue that we'll see is uh, as far as like hurricanes or something like that
Hmm.
that devastates my area, like Charlie did, or Charlie or Ian did. Those were great setbacks, but again, I think that it just I think that I have the ability to get out there even if something were to happen and make that impact and get those signatures. So I don't have any questions about being able to make my numbers.
Okay, good. Good.
I have the time and the drive to get it done. So
Awesome. That sounds great. All right, so let's what else what have we missed? What do you need to tell people that maybe I didn't ask or that you're like, "Oh, you thought of it just, as we were talking." Is there anything that people just really got to know about you?
um I mean, I just say it as it is. I have been, or I started as a Republican back in the day. I'm very conservative in my views.
Mhm.
Um, I have seen so much change, just like I said, in the past 34 years of my life, and in this local area. And I really think that we would be better off focusing on our environment and trying to reduce a lot of the construction and just focus on community building is really my focus.
Gotcha. And where can people find you or where can they go to start supporting you?
So right now I have a YouTube channel that
Mhm.
I have set up. Let me confirm the right address real quick. Um, and I have a Facebook channel, and that is it. But I do plan on having a website hopefully this week.
Okay.
Um, let's see. Yeah, if you look up Krakow for uh, where's that crap? Krakow for District 77, you'll find my YouTube channel, and that's where I'll be posting. Um, like I said, I have a nonprofit. I guess I'll promote that.
Mhm.
Like a, we are the goal is to ultimately give fathers that one-on-one support, and we really want to kind of get it back to dads being positive role models for their children. Like I like to bounce back to, I don't know if you remember the Hoyt family back in the early 2000s.
No, not ringing the bell at the moment.
The Hoyts were the father's son. The son, I believe, had cerebral palsy, and the dad did. I couldn't tell you how many Ironman races he put his son in a cart and push him for the runs. He'd put him in a raft
Mm.
for the swim, and he'd put him in a basket and bicycle with him. And it's just a beautiful story that I think that society has forgotten about how much fathers love their children and how much we are willing to fight. And I think that that really is again one of the things that we need to focus on is really just showing each other love and compassion and showing that it's not just women that are compassionate, that men and fathers are compassionate in their children's lives. Um, because I think that we need more leaders in our society, and unfortunately, it's just lot of lost people that feel very alone, and that's why I think that we need to focus on the family and the community.
Gotcha. All right. Well, no disagreement here. And Joshua, I thank you for joining me this morning so early on Friendly Fire. Give me just a moment. I'm going to close out the show and then I'll come backstage there with you. So hold on for just a moment here, if you will. Folks, I hope you enjoyed the show and I hope you enjoyed hearing from Joshua Krakow in District 77. Make sure that if you have a way to reach out to him, you reach out and encourage him, and then check out his YouTube channel. Again, go and search Joshua Krakow for District 77. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And until next time, you can find episodes at archived episodes at libertydad.com, and then video episodes at youtube.libertydad.com. You can also connect with me, Liberty Dad, on Facebook, Liberty Dad Pod on Twitter, or go old school and email me, libertydadpodcast@gmail.com, because I would love to hear from you. And I want you to remember that if you're a champion of liberty, your business is people and your product is liberty. I want you to have a great week. Catch you next time.